Kyle Rudolph news just keeps continuing on. I thought this whole situation was resolved, especially after Eric Kendricks restructured his contract last week to allow cap space for your Minnesota Vikings to sign Garrett Bradbury, the first-round draft pick, and I thought that it was over with. This is your roster, and Kyle Rudolph, he is going to be on the team. Well, since that Thursday, in fact, on that Thursday, two reports have came out by the Minneapolis Star-Tribune and Pro Football Talk. I'll talk about that. Also, I reflected on Brian Robinson's great career with your Minnesota Vikings last Thursday. He has since responded to that, which I thought was really, really cool. I'll briefly talk about that as well, along with a former Vikings player that was on the roster in 2018 who is no longer on the team. He joined elsewhere. We'll be sure to talk about all that. But first, Kyle Rudolph. Kyle Rudolph, I thought that this was over. I thought that this was a done deal. And even if he wasn't going to sign an extension, he's going to be on the team in 2019. Because just think about this. If you're Kirk Cousins, and I want him on this team. I was all about trading Kyle Rudolph, and I get that. But that was all in favor of the greater good of making sure that you can sign Garrett Bradbury. Now that that's done, that's not an issue anymore. I want to see Kyle Rudolph on this team. It's kind of similar to how in 2014, Teddy Bridgewater, that was his rookie year, and he didn't get a chance to play with Adrian Peterson because after the week one, maybe it was the first week and a half of the season in which Adrian Peterson, he was suspended for that entire year, for the rest of that year, due to the child abuse scandal. We all remember that. And Teddy Bridgewater didn't come on because if you remember, Matt Castle started that year. Teddy Bridgewater didn't come on until, I want to say it was like, was it week 3 or week 4, whatever that was, against the New Orleans Saints in the Superdome. Matt Castle goes down, Teddy Bridgewater comes in, but you never see Bridgewater and Adrian Peterson play that entire year. And that offseason, following that season, it was, I think they finished 7-9, but that offseason, it was speculation. Adrian Peterson, not even speculation, Adrian Peterson wanted to get traded, okay? That jackass of an agent that he had, or maybe still has, Ben Dogra, put on that, he posted on social media with that Tampa Bay jersey with number 28 on it, I believe it was. I'm like, game on, let's go to Tampa. And, oh, he wants to go to the Dallas Cowboys. And is he going to get traded? He's not going to be on the Vikings roster anymore. And I'm like, no, damn it. I want to see Adrian Peterson and Teddy Bridgewater play. I want to see them play together. And in hindsight, Pat Shurmur wasn't calling plays. You had a crappy offensive line with North Turner calling the plays, and it just didn't work out. Pat Shurmur was calling the plays with an offensive line. Who knows? And if Teddy Bridgewater didn't suffer that leg injury, who knows where he would be at. But I wanted to see those two play. Same thing with Kyle Rudolph. Just think about this. Football on the field, it's 11 on 11. Take away the 5 offensive linemen and the 1 quarterback. The quarterback basically has, not even basically, the quarterback has 5 options to give the ball off to. So whether that's a handoff or to pass the ball. So in this case, assuming that you're running a 2 tight end set formation, just imagine Kirk Cousins, he drops back, looks to his right. Oh, he sees Stephon Diggs. He doesn't like that read. Looks over, scans to his left. He sees Adam Thielen. He doesn't want to go there either. Irv Smith Jr., he's running down the seam. The coverage is too tight on him. Oh, Dalvin Cook, he could throw the screen pass to the left side, and all of a sudden he sees Kyle Rudolph for the hitch curl run, whatever, and throws it to him. Imagine that, the 5 weapons you have on offense, Stephon Diggs, Adam Thielen, Dalvin Cook, Irv Smith Jr., and Kyle Rudolph. That is a crazy-ass lineup right there. You can't lose if you're Kirk Cousins. That's going to be the best set of weapons that you've ever had in your career. You've already had it with the Vikings as of last year, but you didn't have an offensive line, and John DeFilippo wasn't that good of an offensive coordinator. So now you got Gary Kubiak in an offensive line, and now you've got Irv Smith Jr. to add on to that. You could have a 2 tight end set formation. Just imagine if it could be anything like the Patriots, how they had Rob Gronkowski and Aaron Hernandez, the POS that he was. But just in terms of football, that could be an exciting product to see. I want to see Kyle Rudolph on this team. I want to see what it looks like, damn it. And I thought it was over. He's going to be on this team, and there's nothing to talk about. Even at his $7.6 million, I was all about trading Kyle Rudolph, but now that Garrett Bradbury is signed, keep him on the team. I thought it was over. But then, what's this? Sid Hartman, the great Sid Hartman, wrote for the Minneapolis Star-Tribune about how Kyle Rudolph was asked if he would be willing to take a pay cut to remain with the Vikings. He's due $7.6 million in 2019. To that, he said no. In fact, he said, quote, No, I won't. I am too young for that. And I get it. I completely get it. I talked about this with Brian Robinson, how he took a pay cut to remain with the team. He was due $3.5 million in 2018. He went down to the vet minimum, and then he ended up getting cut anyway. These teams aren't loyal to anybody. So if Kyle Rudolph, I'm always going to stick for the players getting the most money that they think that they are worth. In fact, what is up with the NFL contracts? When they announce these contracts, it's just some of the dumbest stuff that I see. Why the NFL stays making stuff way too complicated. We signed X player for 5 years, $338 billion. And it's like, no, they're only getting like $500,000 guaranteed. It's like, why do they do it for 5 years, but only the first 2 years are guaranteed? Why do they put out all this fluff everywhere when it comes to NFL contracts? But anyway, when it comes to Kyle Rudolph, I want to see him on this team. So, okay, fine. He's not going to take a pay cut. He'll take his $7.6 million. He's still going to be on this team until, I saw this from Pro Football Talk, Mike Florio. He wrote about how the Vikings have offered Kyle Rudolph and his camp a 5-year extension, and that which would give Rudolph a new money average among the highest paid tight ends in the league. And I guess Kyle Rudolph, he rejected that. Okay, so, and I'm just thinking, even if you can keep him on the field at first, because I was thinking, you're going to give this dude a 5-year contract. Let's say even the first 2 years is really all that matters. You're going to give him a contract extension for like 5 years or whatever it is. I don't know. He's getting up there in age, but I thought about it a little bit more. Yes, Kyle Rudolph is getting up there in age. Right now, he is, well, man, he's 20. I thought he was 29 going into 2019, but he's actually going to be 30 going in, and he's going to be 30 years old in the 2019 season. Yes, he's getting up there in age, but the dude is super durable. So all the criticism that he has received, I guess you can call me a hypocrite, maybe it's come back in his favor because he's not getting worn out as far as the criticism of not breaking tackles, right? Not being a physical enough tight end, not blocking enough. Well, guess what? Outside of 2013 and 2014, he's played all 16 games for the majority of his career except his first year when he played 15 games. But that was his rookie year. Other than that, he's playing 16 games a season. So do you want Rob Gronkowski? Yes, you do. But as far as that's the short term. But if you want a tight end that's still going to make plays and still be somewhat of a little bit of a, not even dynamic. What's below dynamic? Let's just say he's a pretty solid contributor. If you want that for a longer space of time, Kyle Rudolph is doing that. He's showing no signs in slowing down. So I actually would not be opposed to extending Kyle Rudolph, especially when you have Irv Smith Jr. on a rookie deal where it basically doesn't amount to much cap-wise when you consider everything else. I want to see Kyle Rudolph on this team. I hope that he can go. And not only is his age, yes, he's getting up there, his durability is really great, but the drop-off from Kyle Rudolph is basically like Kirk Cousins. He's like Kirk Cousins at his position where it's like he's not well, Gronk is retired now, so he's not Travis Kelce or Zach Ertz, but he's still pretty solid. He's really, really solid. The drop-off from, now the difference is the drop-off from like Kirk Cousins to, let's say, who's the quarterback under him? Let's say like Mitch Trubisky. I don't think Mitch Trubisky is as good as Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins isn't great. He's like a top 12 quarterback, but the drop-off from Kirk Cousins to Mitch Trubisky really isn't that large of a gap, but in terms of Kyle Rudolph, the drop-off from him, let's say, because I have him as the 8th best tight end in the league. Pro Football Focus, for whatever reason, I guess because he's a terrible blocker, they have him as the 35th best tight end in the league. I don't get it. I have him as the 8th best tight end in the league. The drop-off from Kyle Rudolph to the next guy is pretty staggering. So I would keep him. He's shown that he's durable enough. Get as much money as you can. I hope that he's on his team. Hopefully they're not going to trade him because I see that that's still in the mix. Oh, they may trade him. Look, I'm all about getting stuff back, but I want to see a 2 tight end set formation. It's going to change the entire dynamic of this offense. Let's get this out of here. Moving on. So last week I talked about Brian Robinson's career as he retired. Well, he officially retired, but he had his retirement press conference addressing the media one final time as a Minnesota Viking. And normally, I used to have this rule, whereas when I first started this podcast, whenever I talk about a player or a team and I post it on social media, I would always tag that player or that team just to let them know, hey, you know, I'm not trying to hide and act like I'm ducking you and, oh, he'd never say this to you directly or whatever. Like, I'd always just tag him, like, here you go, here you go. And then I thought about it. I'm like, what am I doing? Like, just imagine, like, if you're bad at your job and you know you're bad at your job, and then you look on your phone and then you're getting these not direct message. I'd never DM any players, but like you're getting these notifications just with all these other people just outside of the organization telling you how bad of a employee that you are. And I'm like, you know what? That's just going to make their day even crappier. I don't want to do that. But when it comes to good stuff, like if it's nothing negative about that player or that team at all, I'll tag them. But like, you know, hey, here's what I'm saying about you. If you want to respond to it, okay, fine. Brian Robinson, so I posted on actually Score North. This posted on Thursday. I talked about his career, how he's underappreciated, how he's an all-time great Minnesota Viking, just as far as his contributions to the team. I wish him well. And he actually responded. He commented on his personal YouTube channel on that video, quote, "Respect, good stuff, and thank you." I thought that was really, really cool. This actually marks the third interaction with a Vikings player or Vikings affiliate since I've started this podcast. So Brian Robinson last week, Jarius Wright, what was this? This was the beginning, actually the off season of 2017 going into 2018. I've talked about Jarius Wright a lot. Everybody knows how much I love that guy. He's a great player. I stand for Jarius Wright. Not stand like as in stand up, stand as in Eminem. Peace gone cold. I don't even know the words. Peace gone cold, I wonder why. I stand for Jarius Wright. That is a tough-ass player. He's a hell of a player. Never got his opportunity there. I wrote an article about him saying how the Vikings owe him an apology, never giving him the opportunity that he deserved, and he liked it on Twitter. And I think he liked it on my page and then the Viking Age as well. And then the third interaction I've had, it wasn't with a player, it was with a Vikings affiliate. That was Mike Zimmer's daughter, Littles MC on Instagram. I didn't even tag her in anything. Like, she found me and then just was mad because I was talking about how Mike Zimmer should have been fired after the end of last year, which I still stand by. But I'm not going to go on that again. He's on the team. And guess what? If the Vikings are successful, I have them going 11-5 in 2019. You know why? Because of the offense, because of Gary Kubiak, because of the offensive line, because I think this offense is what's going to take this team over the top. They're going to be 11-5. I think they'll go in as a wild card team. Bears will finish 12-4. I think they'll lose to the Bears twice, but they'll still be in the playoffs. They'll go at 11-5. We'll see what happens. So it was really cool. Thank you, Brian Robinson. Respect to you. I wish you nothing but the best, and I wish you well in your next chapter in life. Next. Lastly, a former Vikings player in 2018 who was on the roster then, he is joining another team. That will be Aldrick Robinson. Aldrick Robinson, all the man did was catch touchdowns, damn it, and I was standing for that dude too. I was like, man, just put him out there. All he did was catch touchdowns, but you know what? We got Laquan Treadwell, so we'll play him more, and we saw how that turned out. I think now this Vikings organization, like normally with players, they invest players onto the field. The players that they've invested a lot into, that takes priority into the depth chart. Like, we'll put them on the field before a player that may be even better than them. But I think in this case with Laquan Treadwell, I don't think you're going to see any messing around with that, especially with Gary Kubiak there running the offense. I don't expect to see him on the field. But he's joining the Carolina Panthers. It was a little bit of a bummer. I was more so just like, that kind of sucks. But it's not like a big-time impacting move. You've still got options at the wide receiver 3 spot, assuming you're going out of the 2 tight end set formation. So we talked about this before. We've had Kyle Rudolph and Irv Smith Jr., Stephon Diggs, Adam Thielen, Dalvin Cook as those 5 options. If you're doing a 1 tight end set formation and you're having 3 wide receivers, I expect the bulk of the packages, assuming Kyle Rudolph is on the team, to be 2 tight end sets formation. Outside of that, if you want to run a 1 tight end set formation with 3 wide receivers, there are options there for that 3rd wide receiver spot. You've got Chad Beebe, who showed tremendous flash in the limited of opportunities that he got last year, including the preseason. You've got Jordan Taylor, who has all the attributes, all the physical tools that you need from an NFL wide receiver: size, strength, hands, everything that you want. And then also Dylan Mitchell, a 7th-round pick out of Oregon. He's getting a lot of hype as well. We'll see what happens, but you have options. It's just more so annoying, like, he's gone, but it wasn't expected that he was going to come back to the Vikings. And where have I heard this story before? Oh yeah, Jerry's right. When he left after last year, and I wrote about how the Vikings owe him an apology, he went and joined the Carolina Panthers. I don't think it's a big deal at all. He's gone. I wasn't expecting Aldrick Robinson to come back. You've got options at the 3rd wide receiver spot, so we'll see how it all pans out. I'm very excited. I am very, very excited for this next season for your Minnesota Vikings. 11-5, damn it. So anyway, we do this 3 times a week. Realistic Randy, Mediokr, Best Sports Podcast. You can check me out on Twitter at realistic_Randy, Facebook at Realistic Randy. Next podcast will be on this YouTube channel, Score North, on Thursday. We will see you then.